Alright, what is up everybody? Shell Scout 0013 here, reporting in for another list build, this time with the Imperial Remnant force. So I am using Tabletop Admiral this time around, as you can see, a little bit different than the Legion HQ because they haven't quite updated it yet, and I know they will get to it soon, but for the time being, I kind of wanted to go over an Imperial Remnant force and just some of my thoughts on it right now, and some, good and bad, and just overall everything. This is a battle force that I think is going to be a tough build, similar to the 501st, but I don't want to say worse or better, because they're both unique in their own way, but for the most part, you know, the Imperial Remnant is going to be a very low activation battle force. And I feel like even with the new, rule changes that have happened recently in January, that, we're going to, we probably are going to see lower activation lists anyway. And I see a lot of people do low activation lists. And I mean, I get it. Upgrades are very enticing, and you kind of want to use all of them if you can, and make sure that you are prepped and ready to go for the battle ahead. But at the same time, you don't want to spend too many upgrades on units that you might not fully use to their fullest extent. So, like, you might have decked out shore troopers with the heavy comms guy, HQ uplink to give them the order, which gives them the aim, which they can then coordinate an order to the mortars, and not in the battle force, the Imperial Remnant battle force, but in the regular Empire. And you might just, have everyone decked out and as many upgrades as possible, giving you only 8, maybe 9 activations. And, you might see your unit get wiped off the board before they even have a chance to do a lot with their upgrades. So, honestly, what I would do is go maybe a little thinner on upgrades. When I see a lot of lists, I just want to say go a little thinner on upgrades. Definitely try to do a heavy. Get it as many activations in as you can. Then if it's like maybe 10 or 11 acts, then you can bring it down possibly, and then start upgrading with some things that you think will benefit the unit. And that is a way of kind of building your lists. But yeah, so I want to go over an Imperial Remnant battle force. I want to go over 2 lists and kind of give my thoughts again on it. But first, I want you to know that if you leave a comment and you are subscribed, you are entered in to win the gift card for $20. And that's simple. It's really, really easy. And then also, if you haven't already, go ahead and head to the Discord and, join in, start posting whatever you want, and even work in progress. Like, a lot of people are putting their paint stuff on, and some Halo, some MCPs in there at some point, a lot of good Star Wars stuff, and feedback. People will give feedback as well. So if you are interested in, joining the Discord, go ahead and head there. Go ahead and start putting your stuff and lists, your questions, all of that into whatever channel kind of thing that you would like. And yeah, we're all pretty easy going in there. Also, go ahead and head to the Clan of Shadows Patreon, where I have posted a lot of different videos, and I'm making this one a little early, so I'm making this one before I'm dropping another video for an objective breakdown and some of the units. Just kind of like in this one, what I did was I went over a few different units that are great at the objective breakthrough. So if you haven't checked it out, go ahead and become a Patreon member and check it out, and tell me what you think. Also, if you haven't, and you should, head to theburnacademy.com for $15 a month. Go ahead, subscribe, download the app, and that'll give you 3, 4, 5, 6-day week workout plans, corrective exercise programs, at-home workouts, 120 different recipes, coaching videos, and all the different ways to track your progress while you're in the gym. So if you don't know what you're doing, or you kind of do know what you're doing and you just want something different, then this is definitely for you. Well, all right, let's go ahead and get back into it. I'm going to go over the 8 activation list for the Imperial Remnant force, and we're going to include Moff Gideon in both of them. Mostly because if you don't, and I'll go ahead and take him off for a second, if you don't, the command card choice that you have is fairly slim. So you'll probably have ambush and covert observation, and then you do have special forces, but If we look at covert observation, is basically an operative which you can't have in the Imperial Remnant Force yet, but you do have special forces. And when you're issuing orders using this command card, each unit that is issued an order gains a suppression token on your opponent's side, which is nice to have, especially, because suppression does so much now, but you're kind of limited. Maybe you wanted to give that to a core unit, or maybe you wanted to give it to your commander, or maybe you wanted to give it to the Dark Troopers. Well, you can't. So coordinated fire would be okay, because at least this one has 5. If we did go with the generic, at least this one has 5 core. You do have assault that you can use, which is on any unit. You do have push, which you could use for any unit. Pin down would be good for both Dark Troopers, because it is for heavies. And then whenever they fire onto your opponent, they're going to have to put with a face-up order token, they're going to have to take that face-up order token and shuffle it back into the order pool. And then maybe you get to go again twice with the Dark Troopers, and you're going up against droids, and maybe you are able to kind of draw them twice and get rid of your opponent's face-up order tokens, and then it's AI attack at that point with white dice, no surging. So for the most part, I mean, and that's theoretical in a way, but for the most part, you do have quite a few just generic command cards, but just one where you have to kind of maybe give an order to a special forces, which isn't that hard. But we're going to go ahead and go with Moff, and maybe I'll build one with you guys live, in a way, that, can show you how to build one without Moff. So this one I have Moff, I have Aggressive Tactics, and the Darksaber, because, again, those are the most important upgrades that I have found so far for him. If you do have more points, lead by example would be wonderful to have. Esteemed Leader could be okay, or Commanding Presence might actually be really good, because for the most part you are also going to probably use his 2-pip that allows the Dark Troopers to go practically anywhere across the board beyond range 2 of your opponent. So maybe Commanding Presence might be great to give them that order. So there's that one. And, for the training upgrades, you don't need Duck and Cover. You probably don't need Endurance because he's Courage 3. Hunter, possibly, but you do have a free Observe, so it's kind of like not taking an aim, and then he has a way to, when he makes a move, he gains an aim, so you really don't need Hunter. Into the Fray, you definitely don't need, because he surges already. Offensive Push, he's already got Tactical, so you don't necessarily have to have it, and he doesn't dice fix, so there's no point, and he only is rolling 3 dice. So then you have Overwatch, pointless on him. Protector, he doesn't have Guardian. Seize the Initiative, that could be okay, but then you have his command cards. If we scroll down, the Die at My Hand, which is specifically for Moff Gideon, you've got his 2-pip. Where's his command cards? Oh, they're all right here. Sorry. 2 units, just in general, and then 3 core and or the heavy. So you're giving it to other people, which is why you want kind of the aggressive tactics. And then Seize the Initiative. Yeah, sure. I can see, a case for bringing Seize the Initiative. Situational Awareness. No, because you're probably going to be moving and shooting with him. You're probably never going to be really getting dodges or taking dodges. Tenacity. There's a case, especially with the Darksaber, to bring it, because with the Darksaber, he's rolling 5 black dice. He surged to crit already, but maybe with Tenacity, he's rolling 6 dice and surged to crit. That's super nice. So I can see a case for that. And then up close and personal, he does have a range 1 to 2 weapon, but no, I don't see any cases for that. Ascension cables, maybe. Electros, maybe. Emergency stems, sure. Environmental gear and grappling hooks, probably not necessarily needed. Portable scanner, not necessarily needed. Prepared supplies, could be okay. Recon intel, possibly okay. Targeting scope, you definitely don't need, because you're already going to be rolling just the 3 dice, and for the most part, you're probably going to get some sort of paint majority of the time on at least the red, if not some of the black, so you don't necessarily need targeting scopes to re-roll 3 of them. So that's why. That's why I think just aggressive tactics and Darksaber are really the most important. Then you have short troopers and stormtroopers that are going to be automatically on there, but I decided to give the T-21 stormtrooper that surges to or has critical 2 on there to be able to help out the shore troopers because they don't surge naturally. See, as you can see, I mean, being able to roll at range 3, 4 black dice, 4 white dice, critical 2, you're rolling 8 dice, you're probably going to get a surge in there for sure. So, yeah, I mean, that's why I think the T21, and it's cheap enough to take. It might not be, 2 black, 2 white like the D21B, but it's way cheaper. It's 10 points cheaper and critical 2. And you've already got a lot of black dice here, so. And you're still rolling 4 dice overall. So I think that the T21 is the better choice. Then I have a naked shore and the reason I would do double shores and not necessarily anything else except for maybe double scouts. You could do double deaths if you wanted to. Don't necessarily need 2 storms. But with the new Imperial Remnant Battle Force rules, if you're beyond range 2 of the commander, you cannot be given orders. That's another reason why possibly the commanding presence, maybe it could go to range 3 or possibly range 4 at that point. But thinking about it, you're probably going to lose the independent aim or dodge. So with the shore troopers, if you give them an order, they get an aim. If you don't give them an order, they get an aim or a dodge. So you're practically always getting some sort of token with the shore troopers, which is why I think at least having 2 shore troopers and or 2 heavies on the shore troopers are a really good idea. Then you've got to have your storms, you've got to have your Imperial Death Troopers, and you've got to have your Scout Troopers. And then I also gave the T21 on the Scout Troopers, again, because the Scout Troopers don't offensively surge, and the T21 is going to give you critical 2. And you're rolling 2 dice at range 2 per mini, and at least this is range 1 to 3. So at least your range 1 to 3, you can shoot by itself and get critical 2, but then maybe you combine it, you're rolling 8 black dice, again with 4 white dice. That's 12 dice altogether, critical 2, so you don't surge. Anyway, it's so nice. The amount of damage you could probably get through is insane. Then the Imperial Death Troopers, I at least have the free config on there to give them that range 1 to 4 suppression gun, or at least a range 1 to 2 blast, and a red dice for each of them if they recover. So that I think that's such a good idea. And then I have 2 Dark Troopers on here. They both have programmed loyalty. That way, no matter what and where they are, they're going to get a green token, an aim or a dodge. Because if they're within that range 1 to 2 of Moff, they're getting an order, or they're getting an aim or dodge. And if they're beyond range 1 to 2 of him, they're going to get an aim or dodge from Independent, more than likely. And or at least you keep 1 Dark Trooper close by because of coordinate. Well, not coordinate, but because Moff Gideon, he's got Entourage with the Imperial Dark Troopers, so they're going to be able to get in order to begin with the beginning of the round. So that's why you're probably going to keep 1 next to him, and then the other one's probably going to go away. You're going to have to ignore programmed loyalty, but you do get the Independent, so that helps. And then I have the Myrtleizer Cricket Bat, and then I also have the Frag Launcher, range 1 to 2 gun on them. Mostly because you're going to be, if you do use the range, or the 2 pip, and move up to range 2 of your opponent, this is just really going to come in handy. And so it doesn't really matter which one you get close enough to your opponent with, they're both going to be pretty much the same. And I would always at least go with 2 heavies on there. You might as well, because the other one's 32 points, that you might as well just spend a few extra on a heavy. So this gives you 8 activations. Yes, you are going to have 10 tokens in your bag, but for the most part, you still have 8 activations on the board. And if one of them disappears, you still only have 7 activations. Yeah, you get to draw and go twice with a unit, but you're still kind of moving speed 3, like 1 speed 3 move, with the fact that you can move, and then you can only move that once per activation because of plotting. So you get to activate them twice basically during the round. So that's a speed 3 pretty much forward, and then you can still shoot each time, but it's still 1 unit. And if that unit goes down, well, you've lost those two chances, and you're still down to 7 acts. So it's a low activation list with at least a way to perform 2 attacks with 1 activation. So I think they kind of guessed that this battle force would be low in acts, which is why I'm sure they gave the Imperial Dark Troopers the ability to have 2 order tokens in the back. So, yeah, I would just go with that. Give yourself the 4-point bid and probably kind of do what you would like. I would, you kind of have to go with all of his orders. And, ambush would be pretty good. Pin down would probably be okay. But for the most part, you're giving an order from Entourage, so you probably don't need pin down. You could probably just go with push. And then assault and, assault, yeah, sorry. I don't know why I've got, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, okay. So assault, push, ambush, and then all of his command cards. The Scout Troopers have Sharpshooter 1, but for the most part, you're going to be surging to crit for 2 of them. This is kind of not the hardest battle force to build, but it's going to be tough to figure out who you want upgrades on, and really, how many Dark Troopers do you want? I think 2 is going to be great. Maybe you won't be able to really fit 3 and have a good army. You can give it a shot, but I doubt you're going to win on objectives, because then, for the most part, the Imperial Dark Troopers are going to be slow and might not make it to the box on time. Now, let's look at another one. I have Moff Gideon with just aggressive tactics this time, making him tiny bit cheaper by 15 points, but still very helpful. I've got Shore Troopers. I've got one of them with the T21. I've got the Stormtroopers with the DL19 or the DLT19. I've got the Imperial Death Troopers with the RT97C and the free config. Now, the reason I have the RT97C onto the Death Troopers is because at range 1, it's still a range 1 to 4 gun, which is really nice. And it's 4 dice at that range, and you do surge to hit already. And then you also have precise 2, so when you spend an aim, you can reroll up to 2 additional dice. So, yeah, you probably aren't going to get any hits on the white, but when you roll, you'll probably at least hit the red, and then you can reroll all 3 whites again. And then maybe at range 1 to 2, you just roll a heck ton of dice, of white dice, and then at range 1 to 3, you've got a pretty decent dice pool. You'll have 4 black, 3 white, 1 red. So what, like 4, 7, 8 with precise 2? Not that bad. I think that's a pretty good one. Then you've got your Scout Troopers again with the T21 because of the surging to crit for 2 of them, since the Scout Troopers don't naturally. I've got 2 speeder bikes, and then I have 1 Imperial Dark Trooper unit. This one I kind of left out the programmed, which if you needed to, I would probably take out maybe the Stormtrooper heavy at the moment and give yourself maybe the programmed loyalty, giving you 15 extra points to kind of do with what you want. And maybe for the Stormtroopers, you just go with the Stormtrooper Specialist. Give yourself another 6-point bid. And or you can maybe go with, situational awareness on the Scout Troopers. And or maybe you go with the Sabs. It'd be fun to probably come up with a way to do, if you did do Sabs, you do have independent aim or dodge beyond range 2, so you can maybe do an independent dodge and then just take another dodge and then throw your sonic charge out there. Or throw your sonic charge out there, then take a dodge and have it detonate. And you've got your 2 dodges, and you're probably going to be in the blast fire anyway. And so the sonic charge is only 2 dice anyway. Yeah, so if it crit doesn't happen, then for the most part, you can dodge both of them. And or you put situational awareness on them, which is 4 points. There's lots of things you could do. I think it would be fun. I mean, the Imperial Death Troopers, they're going to be surging to defense. They don't have sharpshooter or anything, which is why I didn't put the sniper. But you do, the T21B could be okay. I just wanted more dice onto the Death Troopers, which is why I figured the RT97C would work out really, really nicely. And then with the Storms, I think anything would work out really well. Even, I think the T21B Trooper would be great on the Storms because of their fact that they've got precise already naturally. And you've got critical 1 with the T21B, so you could take an aim and then roll, maybe get a crit, and then you've got precise 1 to reroll 3 of them naturally. So that would be a really, really good idea. The HH-12 could be good when you have the Stormtrooper Specialist, because then you can just recover, and then you can take your free aim and shoot, which I've I've seen now on at least Gray Squadron Gaming from a list someone submitted. Really good idea. Good job, man. Then you've got, yeah, the DLT 19D, but it's just so expensive. Like, you're paying 10 extra points for a red or for a white dice. That's kind of pointless in my opinion. So you might as well just spend 10 points because that white dice is not worth 10 points. You might as well just go with the regular DLT 19. But alright guys, that's mostly it. I think, the speeder bikes on this one gives you 9 activations instead of 8, which is kind of helpful. You still have the Dark Troopers who are entouraging with Moff Gideon. So that's obviously really, really nice to have. You have all of Moff's command cards and the regular command cards. You, for the most part, will have pretty good command control or order control because you've got 5 core. You've got 2 supports. You've got 1 heavy, which is entouraging anyway, so you're never going to have to draw the heavy out. You can just go when you want. Yeah. Like I said, this Imperial Remnant force is very, very interesting. I think the Dark Troopers are going to be able to kind of handle some of the Jedis, because they're going to be able to pack a punch with, a red each and a white in melee, and then you've got the Myrtleizer in melee going with 2 red and a black as well. So they're going to be going ham. And then the frag grenade is blast, impact 2, and cycle. So I think the blast is huge. Yeah, guys, that's all I can really think of. I think that this is going to be an interesting one. As like I said, the short troopers are going to be able to gain an aim no matter what. Stormtroopers, if they're beyond range 2, they get that independent aim, and then they've got precise. So for the most part, this is going to be a very offensive list. It's just low activations. Alright guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Definitely be a subscriber and leave the comments down below so that you can be entered in to win that $20 gift card. Head to the Discord channel and go ahead and join and be a part of the community. And then go ahead and head to the Clan of Shadows Patreon and become a Patreon member to get more videos if you would like. And also, don't be afraid. Head to thebrinkacademy.com to subscribe for $15 a month and download the app to get all of the different workouts that you want. That's 3, 4, 5, and 6 day week workout programs, just to make sure that it fits in your schedule. And I also wanted to make sure that I gave a special shout out to all of the Patreon members. Thank you so much for everything that you do. I really, really appreciate it, and I'm so thankful for you guys. All right, so may the force be with you, and I'll catch you next time.